Our out-of-control immigration. Ange Postecoglou put one big problem with it up in lights this week. Now, Postecoglou is the Australian manager of Tottenham Hotspur, the famous English soccer club, which is taking to the final of the Europa League next week.
You're going to be the first Australian manager ever to manage in a European Cup final.
First Greek born as well, mate. I'm also Greek, so
yeah.
A couple of very proud of both those.
So he interrupts to tell a journalist he's Greek born, don't just say Australian. Sure, he and his older sister were brought to Australia by his parents when he was 5. He was educated here, he got his big breaks here, but never forget, Greek born. Now, fine, I know the pull of ethnic identity myself. You know, it's very natural. As a son of immigrants myself, I even travelled on a Dutch passport in my 30s, even though I was actually born here. But this ethnic pull poses a real problem when we now import massive numbers of immigrants, when 30% of Australians are now born overseas, when nearly 1 million of us don't even speak English or speak it badly, according to the census, when we increasingly form ethnic enclaves, Middle Eastern suburbs of Western Sydney, the Chinese almost mini city in Melbourne's Box Hill, Little India in Dandenong. Again, all very natural, especially when we now have such big numbers of certain immigrants. But perhaps we should now be open to the kind of discussion that British Labor Prime Minister Keir Starmer tried just this week, warning of the danger of mass immigration that the left have been, including Starmer himself, have been so blind to for so long.
We risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together. You're actually contributing to the forces that are slowly pulling our country apart.
Now we see some of those warning signs right here. More Muslim Australians fought for the Islamic State than served with the Australian Army at the time. We'll take this last election where Liberal Senator Jane Hume tried to discuss the danger of election interference by the Chinese Communist Party after volunteers from a Chinese group linked to the communist dictatorship were working on a Labor and Teal campaign. Labor used her comments to smear the Liberals as anti-Chinese, which was devastating for the Liberals when we have 1.3 million ethnic Chinese.
You don't need to go out that far on the polling booths, Claire. There might be Chinese spies that are, handing out for you.
This is absolutely disgraceful. We are not spies. Chinese Australians have been in Australia for over 200 years. We are loyal citizens and we have just as much right to participate in Australian democracy as anybody else.
Why is it that the Liberal Party continues to question the loyalty of Chinese Australians?
That was cynical political exploiting of some remarks, but is that where we now are? Where the ethnic loyalties of some Chinese means we cannot safely discuss Australian security. So, the way our immigration intake is going, we need to talk about multiculturalism. Taking pride, as I say, in ethnic identity is natural. But multiculturalism is exactly the wrong policy for a government now. A government should not be encouraging people to identify by their ethnic or religious background. Let people do that themselves. Government should instead stress what unites, stress our common identity as Australians. So hopefully the next generation won't feel they need to correct you when you do call them Australian.